You are going to come out with a major conference on CSR trends in Australia on responsible leadership, and
Yes,
you are also going to share the findings of your own research. Uh,
that's right.
can you share the glimpses of the state of CSR in Australia?
So you wanted to ask me generally about the State of CSR report, what's going to
Yeah,
be in that?
absolutely.
Okay. So the main focus of the report was on leadership, and we wanted to look at the nature of leadership for corporate social responsibility in Australia and New Zealand. We expanded it to New Zealand for the first time this year.
Okay.
So some of the highlights are when you ask people what makes a company a responsible leader, when they had very different views if they were talking about their own company or about other companies.
Uh-huh.
So when you ask them what has your company done to demonstrate leadership in corporate social responsibility, they would talk about philanthropy and community investment and give examples of where their company has done outstanding programs in philanthropy and community investment.
Uh-huh.
But if you ask the respondents what other companies have done to demonstrate leadership in CSR, they will talk about integrating CSR into core business operations.
Uh-huh.
So there's a bit of a disconnect between what people say their own companies are doing in the area of leadership and what other companies are doing in the area of leadership. And this has given us a lot to think about. Why would that be? So it's quite possible that because people know their own companies more intimately than they know other companies, they fully understand the challenges of integrating CSR. And so they're inclined to point not to the accomplishments of integration, but to perhaps more long-standing and prominent efforts in the more traditional areas of CSR, which is philanthropy and community investment. But when they're talking about newer approaches to CSR, linking to core business and so on, they profile other companies because they can see what companies say about themselves. So we think that that's probably the explanation, that people are more modest talking about their own company's achievements because they know how difficult it is. So that's our, but the other companies are showing a broader agenda. So you could say a narrow view of CSR and a broad view of CSR, that when they talk about their own companies, they take a narrow and traditional view, but when they talk about other companies, they take a broad, contemporary view.
But in fact, when they talk about their own company, they should take opportunity to share what all they do in terms of whether it is their business processes or the people and planet policies or the signatory issues, but they're not talking about that.
Well, no, they look more at the traditional activities of the company. So they understand how difficult it is to get support. And that's another one of the main findings, is that for the fifth year in a row, we asked people what are their challenges, what do they expect to be the major challenges and issues that they will face in the year ahead. And this year, for the fifth year in a row, building internal understanding and support for CSR remains the highest priority for people working in CSR. So I think it's linked to that there is still a challenge, despite all the progress that we've made, despite the achievements and despite the fact that CSR is now very much a mainstream consideration for most large companies. There is still a challenge of building understanding and support and indeed measuring impacts and outcomes of CSR.
Absolutely.